We're here at Sugar Mill Gardens. We're gonna go take a walk. This is a nice park. It's got some dinosaurs, so we're gonna go look at some dinosaurs while I talk about a couple hands here. So, time for a nice fun walk. Unfortunately for us, we're gonna start this session in the hole. Didn't take great notes on exactly what happened, but we got into a kind of sticky situation in one of the first hands we played this session. So we are starting down about 150, but I've got some hands to report here. Pretty lucky session coming up, so absolutely stay tuned. Wow, look at this scenery. This is absolutely incredible. I mean, just so beautiful. So fortunate to have these parks around where I live. Kind of fortunate like the run out in this first hand we're going to talk about. We look down at King 10 suited in middle position. There's an early position raise to $20. We're going to put the flat call in here. We call, and there are 4 other callers behind us. So we're going to be playing a nice 6-way pot here. And the flop looks pretty good for us. Flop comes King, 8 King. So we flop trips. Both the blinds check and the early position player checks. And at this point, I'm looking to just build a pot. So I bet $75. Everybody else on the table folds, except the early position player who decides to check jam for the rest of their stack, which at this point is about $300. So, you know, we're probably, behind. This check jam is pretty strong from the under the gun player, considering their range, but we've got trips. I don't really think that we can fold this one too often, especially for only 225 more. So we make the call with trips, and they do turn over ace king. So we're on a race here. We've got a couple outs, but boy, do we get lucky. The turn is a 6, and the river is another 6. So we go runner pair to chop the pot. So pretty fortunate to not just blow this one all the way and chop up a nice little one here. This little area here is called Nature's Chapel. It's a little place you could have a small wedding. It's kind of nice. We get a little married to this hand here. We look down at ace queen suited in the small blind. We are going to raise it up over a button straddle, raise it to 35, and we get 4 callers. So that's a lot for 35, but we're going 5 ways to a flop, which comes queen 7-4. About as good as we could have asked for to have top here. We're going to continue pretty large into 4 people, really establish our hand. We bet $100. We get 1 caller. We're going heads up to a turn, which comes an offsuit jack. I'm pretty sure that this player has a flush draw, probably. And so I really want to charge out these draws. And if they do have something like king, queen, I want to get the money in. So I decide to just go all in for the rest of their stack. I don't believe they had too much left. So I go all in, and they pretty quickly fold. So that was a nice sized pot there for 4 callers. So moving on strong with the session. Taking a break in front of this nice little water feature here. Some ASMR for y'all. How about that? We pick up king, queen suited in the big blind. There are 2 limps and a button raise to 25. In this situation, I don't really feel comfortable 3-betting king, queen suited over a button open with 2 limps behind me. So I just decided to make the call. The 2 limpers call. We're going 4 ways to a flop, which comes 7, 7, 8. We check, both the limpers check and the button checks. So we do have a flush draw on this board, but I was going to check to the razor instead of leading. But the turn brings in a king, so now we've got top pair and a flush draw. We're definitely going to be taking the betting lead here. We bet $50, and everybody folds. So we take a nice little small one there before we get the session into some real action. Taking a little stroll off the beaten path here to bring you our next hand. We look down at pocket 6s in the big blind. There's an early position raise to 25 and a middle position call. Definitely going to take our equity and our pot odds here with pocket 6s in the big blind. Just going to make the call, go set mining. So we're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes ace, queen, 5. So close. Early position player down bets to $20. The middle position player folds. And for this price against this specific player that I've played before a couple times, I think I'm going to float here. I think I'm just going to take my pocket sixes. And I think that this down bet really is kind of just a probe bet. But I think against his range, we're going to make the call here. So we make the call. We're going heads up to a turn. And wouldn't you know, I'm a prophet. The turn is the beautiful Magic 6. So we just spike our set on the turn here after floating the flop. We check to the razor. And as I suspected from my initial flop premonition, he checks the turn. So now I really don't think he's that strong. Hope he'll call some bet I make on the river. The river is an offsuit 9, so really nothing that could improve him. So we bet $80, hoping that he has something. And he pretty quickly calls, showing us ace-king for a very odd ace-king line. But we scooped that one after getting pretty lucky on the turn with a kind of a bad read that went the right way off a weird line. So take that one as you will, but we take that pot down. Sugar Mill Gardens actually gets its name from a little bit of history around the small town of Dunlawton, in that there is a sugar mill here, an old abandoned sugar mill. So I'm gonna take a walk through the sugar mill here to bring you our next sweet hand. We look down at ace-king offsuit and the cutoff. We're gonna be raising it up to $25, and only the big blind makes the call. So we're going heads up to a flop that comes 4-5-5. So honestly, I think I'm gonna be ahead a lot of the time here with just 2 dry overs. So after the big blind checks, we bet 35, trying to just see where we are. And the big blind calls. So going to a turn heads up, comes a pretty good turn, all things considered, comes an offsuit king. So now we've got top on a paired board, and you know, that's about all you can really ask for in this game. Not to mention that the big blind decides to donk lead into us for $85. And at this point, I feel like they're trying to rep a king here, or maybe they do have a 5 and just know that our range is pretty strong. But I've played with this player before, and I think they could have some number of flush draws that they're trying to have equity with by also trying to rep a king. So I just want to get the money in here with top. I think this card favors us a lot more, and we can just take this one down. So I decide that I'm going to go all in for the rest of his stack. He's got about 300 total, counting the 85. So I decide to push it in here, and we get called pretty quickly. He doesn't turn his cards over, but the river is another king. So we improve to a top boat, and this player mucks. So I don't know if we got super lucky in that hand. I think we might have. I think we might have just gotten super lucky. So feeling a little bit luck boxy with this session with these runner full houses, but we are runner poker for a reason. On our way back to the car now for Sugar Mill Gardens, which is what we should have done before this hand. We had a couple slow, unlucky hands going down, a couple getting kind of sloppy, and then we look at this hand, which is definitely kind of sloppy. We look at 8-6 suited in the cutoff, facing one limper. We decide to raise it up, which definitely feeling a little sloppy, a little tilty poker. We raise it up to $25. The button calls, which we're not excited to see, and the limper calls. So we're going 3 ways to a flop with a suboptimal suited gapper, and the flop comes 8, king 4. So we've got one pair, we've got middle pair. The limper checks. I decide I'm just gonna check here, try to get to showdown as cheaply as I can with one pair. The button though decides that he wants to put some money in the pot, and he's going to bet $40. So the limper calls, and at this point we're priced in with one pair. Let's see if we can hit trips or 2 pair. Well, the turn is an awkward card. It's another king. So at this point, my line actually doesn't look that bad. You know, I think I would have bet a king, and now it's unlikely that I have another one. It's also unlikely that the button has one now that there's 2 of them. So the limper checks, I check, and the button also checks. So we're going 3 ways again to a river after all checking, and now I feel actually that I have some confidence in my hand with second pair. I think we could be good. The river is a 6, so we make 2 pair. Haha, no, we're counterfeited. We still have kings and 8s. But however, I still feel like we could actually bet this for value after the checks through on the turn. So the limper checks, I decide I'm gonna go for some protection value here I bet $80. The button pretty quickly calls, which is concerning, and the limper folds. And the button had the exact same thought process that I did, because he turns over pocket nines. Yeah, not believing I have a king, which he was correct on. So this one kind of stung a little bit, but we still finished pretty far up, and we leave the session in the green. That's gonna wrap up this session after walking around Sugar Mill Gardens, one of the most beautiful parks around Port Orange. Into the game for $650, out of the game for $930, booking a win of $280. Pretty good, all things considered, considering the bit of run bad we had in the beginning and then the slop at the end, and especially all the luck that we had on the runner full houses. But we get lucky sometimes. What else can I really say? Poker players get lucky sometimes. But yeah, so keeping the win streak alive, keeping the dreams real, and we're gonna keep walking around here for a little bit. Do it for this session. Had an awesome time walking around Sugar Mill Gardens, one of the most beautiful places in Port Orange. If you're ever around, you got to check it out. It's so important to get out into the world, move your body around a little bit, especially in these times. Even if it's not super rigorous exercise, it's so important to get out into the world. Keep your body healthy, keep your mind healthy. This is Runner Poker. Have a good one.